of field recordings crossed with contemporary production. The spark for it came from walking out of an R.L. Burnside session, and as we're walking out, Matthew Johnson, owner of Fat Possum Records, says, "Hey, can you all make some remixes out of this stuff you just recorded? I heard some Beck stuff you did a long time ago that was really cool." And we said, "All right." And that, the first night that I sat down with those recordings and put a breakbeat to it, I thought, this is really fun. I'd like to continue to do this. So I immediately start creating new tracks in the same genre, and I start calling up friends. I called Glenn Sherman, a guitar player who'd worked with many times from New York City, and I said, "Glenn, let me send you some of the tracks I'm working on. You can play some acoustic bottleneck slide on it." He gets it, plays on it, says, "I've got the singer for this stuff. There's a 70-year-old gentleman named Jon Brown that works in this third-generation family garment factory in New Jersey, and he's worked there for about 40 years. He sweeps the floor and sings all day. He's never been recorded, to my knowledge, and I'm telling you, he is the guy." He made all the recordings in the factory, and usually while John was on the clock, he'd be sweeping for a while, going and say, "Hey, come over here." He'd set a microphone up in the corner, and off they'd go. So my first contact with him was through his voice, and it was astounding. Within seconds of hearing the tone in his voice, a tone you can only get from living a long life, was blown away.
I ought to go out and knock my brains out.
When I finally met him in person, we showed him a draft of the album cover, the first draft of the album cover, and it was a big moment. It's a wonderful time to record records. Record production now has less boundaries than it has ever had. I could start a track in my living room with the headphones on at 3 in the morning, get something going that I liked, and then send it to Glenn on a DAT tape to New York. He could put it in his recorder, play guitar to it, take it to the factory, get John to improvise over it, send it back to me, and it just continued to evolve through a series of FedExes and phone conversations. Much in the way that Mellow Gold was made entirely in living rooms, never saw a formal facility till it was mastered. We're able to do the same thing with this record. So you have the environment that Lomax had of the field recording, crossed with contemporary technology. The first track on the record, 30 Days, with Glenn Sherman playing slide guitar throughout, and background vocals by Suzi, who was over at his house at the time, and he had an idea and she jumped up to the mic. There's several things like it on the record where you're never quite sure exactly where John is coming from, and when you meet him, he's the same way. That's his style. He keeps you guessing.
I was out there in the woods. I didn't see nobody.
Sing the Blues deep into the record sets sort of a darker tone compared to John's perpetually optimistic and upbeat mood. And Mike Slow-Mo Brenner plays dobro throughout the track. Cry No More features Beal Dabbs, Los Angeles musician, best known as the guitar player in Ludafisk, playing organ. Beal's mother was a church organist. Beal brings a certain authenticity to the organ. The difference between Acid Blues and, say, Bongload Records is that this is a project-based concept that will continue to explore down a single line. The line may get wide at times, but that is the point. It is to merge contemporary production with traditional American folk and blues. The blues has always evolved. It was once only acoustic. The introduction of the electric guitar changed the blues radically and was never the same. Now the introduction of the sampler into blues, well, here we go into the next century. I don't know what's going to happen next.
What's wrong with you?
The whole process has been an amazing adventure and incredibly fun. And I think it comes across on the tape. And in fact, there's a part where Sweet Pea Atkinson, he's running through the song for the first time in a song called Baby What's Wrong With You. And it gets to the second verse. I told him every verse was the same, forgetting the second verse had entirely different lyrics. And he hears the second verse for the first time, busts into laughter, and you know, we kept it because it was spontaneous. Field recordings were always like that. They were always improvised. People sitting around hearing something for the first time, a singer perhaps with a guitar player doing something, everyone else clapping along with him or singing, and that's the deal. That's the blues.
What's wrong with you now?